All right, so I just discovered something that might explain a little bit about why the left and right dislike each other. And basically, I'm going to say the normal person way of saying these things, and then I'm going to explain the leftist view of what they really mean, supposedly, and you're going to get a glimpse of why the left is so angry at the right, even if it's unrealistic to be leftist and it's inaccurate and so on. And I'll explain why as well. Okay, so the right wing version of putting it is you want to be decently well off and afford a family and have a family, your own children. You want to preserve your country's, your people's um, stability and homogeneity, and you don't want to disrupt it with foreign cultures too much. You want them to believe in a higher power with a set of principles for how to behave towards your fellow man, and you don't want to give your money to wasteful drains that don't benefit your people at all and barely benefit others outside of your country. That's the right wing way of putting it. But the left wing way of putting it might be something like I want to escape the prison of poverty and spawn new flesh creatures with my genetics. It's unflattering, but that's how the left views that, I think, in a way. And that's why they are so angry at the right wing, basically, on those two. And then the next way of putting it is I want to indoctrinate my children into believing in Magic Skyman, which is the higher power thing, and not allow refugees into their area, which is the keeping your borders and not getting invaded, according to the right wing, and to tell the taxman we don't want to give money to starving Africans, which is the we don't want to waste money barely helping people on the other side of the world and not helping ourselves at all. Now, the reason why I sincerely believe the right wing is the correct view is because leftist policies have resulted in a situation where, while we could at least temporarily afford to do the at least a little bit of the charity to the other side of the world and take in some refugees and a little bit of a lot of tolerance of atheism and mostly acceptance of atheism, and not have families and not worry about who's on disability or welfare or minimum wage and so on, is the leftist way of approaching it has resulted in so much poverty in countries that were genuinely well off that while we could tolerate all five of those being kind of leftist when we were rich and well structured and we actually had some degree of families and so on while declining a little bit, their policies are so ineffectual and inefficient and wasteful and draining that we just can't afford any of it anymore when we could only do a minimal amount and keep going. But we could have done a minimal amount but keep it in perpetuity beforehand. So the leftist policies have sabotaged, they've killed the goose that lays the golden eggs, basically, because they wanted to get at the gold in the goose, basically. They've killed the golden goose, and we have to take care of our own people and focus on that way more than anyone else. Has become self-preservation as opposed to being selfish, basically. And that's my opinion on it, and that's why I'm not a leftist anymore. Amongst other things like bad behavior when they got a hint of power, and betraying all their declared principles the years before that they said they had, in terms of free speech, being against constant wars, and against mass surveillance and so on. Um, you know, so yeah, yeah, it's that simple, really. Um, you know, um, if they weren't so obsessed with taking from others their earnings, then they could have kept the programs going, not as much as they have been lately, but they could have kept them going forever, basically. Um, and they just took too much, and we lost too much to keep going, and so on. So it hit a critical mass where we have to focus on ourselves now way more, or almost entirely, or actually entirely, or something like that, and our well being, just to make up for the amount they took from us, basically. Um, yeah.